But the interesting thing is that this object was intercepted over Camelback Mountain. Just yesterday, I flew through Phoenix, and I was at the Phoenix Airport, Sky Harbor Airport, looking north to Camelback Mountain. An object came right over Camelback Mountain, and that is precisely where it was intercepted by two F-15 fighters that I think earlier that day had chaperoned President Clinton down to Florida, and I'll touch on that in just a moment. It's the second coincidence that I'd like to touch on. This is one of the early reports I received from a gentleman in Henderson, Nevada, which is on the southeastern corner of Las Vegas. It's a bedroom community for Las Vegas. And that was his sighting. Here's another handwritten report. This is a little bit before the days of the internet, before the internet had come online fully. So I asked people to send a handwritten description, a map, and so on and so forth. And these are some of the reports that I got. This is my worksheet from that night. You see Thursday night, the 13th of March, 1997, at 19:22 hours. That was my first call. In Arizona, that was 8:22, because at that time there was a 1-hour difference between the West Coast and Arizona. This is a police officer called me, a retired police officer, and he was just driving out of his neighborhood, and he saw lights that looked something like that to the west of him, and it was so dramatic that it induced him to turn his SUV around and go back to his house to protect his family. That was his immediate reaction. It was so dramatic. And people have provided us with many images. The bottom line is, that night, not fewer, we believe, not fewer than 5 objects, each of which was that large in the night sky as they passed over Phoenix. People described that they subtended an arc above their head equal to about 135 degrees of arc. And these are the same objects that the U.S. Air Force, within hours or days, was trying to convince the American people were nothing but flares that had been launched over the Gila Men firing range 80 miles to the southwest of Phoenix. Nothing could be further from the truth. That's what Robert and Barbara Lee saw as it went over their head north of Phoenix. People did all sorts of things to try to illustrate, at my request, what it really looked like. And one guy used black paper and white ink to simulate accurately what they looked like. And you can see that each one of the lights had, in fact, 3 separate lights to it when this gentleman was looking at them. There's yet another illustration of what a person saw, and he shows multiple lights along the leading edge. Well, this is what it looked like. One of the 5 objects looked like when it passed over Camelback Mountain. This is an artist's rendition taken from the witness's hand drawing, which she faxed to me on the 16th of March, 1997. Mrs. Susan Watson has 7 children. 4 of her children were home, 2 daughters, 2 sons. This is about 20:23 or 20:24 hours, 8:24 at night. And Mrs. Watson was buttoning up her house. She was taking her children to an Irish music concert in preparation for St. Patrick's Day. And she was in the house turning lights off, buttoning up, locking doors, and so on and so forth. And her 4 children started screaming out in the front yard, "Mommy, Mommy, come quickly." And she raced outside expecting to see a crashing airliner. This is very close to Sky Harbor Airport, just on the north side of Sky Harbor. And she looked up, and she was not prepared for what she saw hovering above her house and her neighborhood. She saw an object that looked like that. Actually, I keep punching the wrong button. This is what Camelback Mountain looks like as viewed from Sky Harbor Airport. The camera's looking north. You can see the camel's head and the hump and the rump of the camel, a kneeling camel. And the object came right over that V in the mountain. And it got directly above Sue Watson's house, and it stopped. And it hovered there she estimated, her children estimated, for 5 minutes. Her children lay down on the grass and looked up at this marvelous craft. They could see specific details on the ventral surface of that object. And then suddenly it